everyone, and welcome to World Sports Daily. I'm Jim Williams along with Sean Miller, and all week we're getting you ready for World Cup, which begins on Sunday. And Sean, really, there's been a lot of good PR coming out of Qatar, except for we had one small incident today, and that was a German TV crew that got a little roughed up by the security people.
Yeah, all that.
But then there was the old misunderstanding deal on it. And so, things happen, and security being tight, was one of those things that was bound to happen. And you hope, that the journalists are not going to be, jousted about by security folks during the entire run of the cup. I know that was a concern in Russia, but for the most part, it never really came about.
Yeah, I think we're going to have some kind of controls and stuff on the media. We'll see. Once again, like, I need the game. Like, this is all Ronaldo stuff, and once the games start, you're not going to hear as much about all this stuff. It's just like there's nothing else to write about right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the other thing is, as we've said before, you're really taking and going around about a 30 to 35 mile circle. Think of it as a spoke around the city, and that's basically where everybody's going to be. So you're not going to have a lot of folks wandering off into places where they're not supposed to be.
Yeah. And if they do, it's in the middle of the desert. They're probably not going to go. Anyway, so.
Not a good plan. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Qatar is basically.
It's only 3 million people.
Yeah. And they're all, they're basically all in.
Well, in Doha, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple in some of the southern cities, but it's just basically that little thumb basically of
the right there, almost on the Sea of Caspian. So there's all kinds of stuff going on over there, but right now most of it is teams arriving. Teams that won't be playing early, but they're arriving now. And the big thing, I saw the German team show up, and the English team actually has had a practice over there so far. And so everybody's kind of getting settled into their digs and getting comfortable with time and the time difference shouldn't be much, certainly for the Brits and those in Europe. So that shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
It will be a little bit of a problem for the South American teams and the U.S. teams, but they'll catch on. They're used to playing, in long time zone situations, so they shouldn't have too much trouble. So, what are some of the things? We're 5 days out now. What are some of the things you're looking at as storylines to you?
I think the first game is interesting because, the hosts always, the hosts have done pretty well other than South Africa. So, the Qatar team is mostly local, mostly playing the league there and teams around there. So, are they going to be able to compete at this level? That game, Ecuador's not going to score a lot of goals. There were some. Let me pull these up. There were a bunch of games today. So a bunch of teams played some friendlies. Croatia beat Saudi Arabia 1-0. Tunisia beat Iran 2-0. Tunisia's a team I think could be interesting. I think we talked a little bit about the North African teams. Argentina won 5-0. Some of the teams that were there are playing. Germany struggled with Oman 1-0. Poland beat Chile. So there's a lot of games going on. Italy's losing right now to Albania, which is embarrassing, but Italy's not even there. So, you'll see some games, and there'll be some games tomorrow, but they're not people get, oh man, Germany only won 1-0 today. You gotta relax a little bit. Like, you don't even know who played. They're
I was going to say, it's like going to a spring training game, right?
Yeah, it's just,
you're looking up and wondering who number 77 is.
Yeah, they're not necessarily worried about the game result. I mean, obviously they want to win the game and play well, but I think, when you look at the lineups, they did play, some younger players and some players that maybe have a chance to play, and then they made 6 subs at 5 subs at halftime. They made a sub in the first half, so it's just trying to get people game time. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and I think to a great extent, these friendlies are just getting people, getting the players comfortable with the field, with the atmosphere, with the climate, and just knocking some of the rust off of their passing back and forth to each other, and remembering, okay, he's going to be over here, that sort of stuff. And in some regards, it's just, once you get a lather up and you feel good, it's like, okay, take me out, and the next guy comes in.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
It's no different, as we said, than the spring training baseball game. You're not gonna hurt yourself running around out there. Take your time. So we've been running features so far this week, and we got one today on how to get to the venues. So let's take a look at how to get to the venues, and then what we'll do is talk about it on the other side. Okay. All right, here we go. Just a second. Let me cue it up. And there we go.
I'm at the metro station in Hamad International Airport in Qatar. Now above me, thousands of fans are going to be arriving on a daily basis for the FIFA World Cup. So today, I'm going to head to 3 stadiums via the metro and shuttle buses to see how easy it is to navigate around Qatar. Hi. The matches will be played in 8 stadiums. Al Janoub, Thumama, Lusail and Al Bayt can be reached from the Red Line, Education City and Ahmed bin Ali from the Green, and Stadium 974 and Khalifa International from the Gold. This metro began operating in 2019 and can reach speeds of 100 kilometers an hour, making it one of the fastest driverless trains in the world. This is Stadium 974. Now it's a 30-minute walk away from Ras Abu Abu metro station, or you can just hop on a shuttle. Now it's named after Qatar's international dining code, but also the number of containers used to build it. All 3 lines, the red, the gold and the green, intersect right here in Mushayyib station. So let's hop onto the red and go to Lusail's Q&B station. And this is Lusail Stadium. It's going to pack 80,000 fans, and it's going to hold the final to the World Cup. Now you can see some of the intricate details of the building behind me. This is actually inspired by the Al-Fanar lamp. That's the Arabic traditional candle lamp. Now this is just a jump off the shuttle towards the northern city of Al Khor, where we have Al Bayt Stadium. Now this is built to look like a Bedouin tent, and inside is awash with colour with the traditional Sadu pattern. Again, an ultra-modern stadium with a nod to Qatar's history. So there you have it, 3 stadiums via metro and shuttle bus in one day. And I'm not going to end my day there. I've come back to Lusail Boulevard, which is lined with shops, restaurants, and has a real festival atmosphere.
Okay, so that's from our friends at Al Jazeera USA. There's some pretty cool stadiums there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think this is going to be, every time you kind of go on TV or you look at it, you're gonna be like, wow, it's amazing. I mean, it's just it puts the shit. You put some of these teams like Manchester United, like, look, they did this and whatever. Why don't you go buy it? Build a stadium or something like this.
Right. Well, it also they spent $27 billion on building these stadiums. The one built out of containers is rather clever to me. I mean, that's 972 shipping carts. So that's talk about interesting. That one stadium, the one that is like a tent, that's amazing. I mean, inside it was just gorgeous with all the different,
the lounges and everything.
Oh yeah.
I think it's going to be, if you're going to these matches, you're going to be pretty lucky. I think watching some of these games and just seeing the different things all around the country there. Obviously, there'll be a lot of journalists there and a lot of visitors from all over the world and stuff. So yeah, it'll definitely be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that's going to be fun about it is that you're going to. There's supposed to be 1 million people that come to the event. They've sold a ton of tickets. We already said selling the tickets wasn't what the concern was for them. Their concern is to look good on television.
Yeah.
And the broadcast center, the International Broadcast Center over there, is, as I understand it, in good shape and ready to rock and roll. For those of you who've never been to something like that, what that is it's basically a large, about the size of a big box store like a Best Buy or something like that. And all of the video, in other words, Fox from the US, BBC from the UK, Channel 7 or ABC from Australia broadcast, all the major networks have studios physically there and also editing. So they're working all the time. On the second floor of that would be print journalists and radio folks and all those folks. And in some cases, that whole situation is 24 hours and rocking and rolling and keeping things moving. So the International Broadcast Center is where pretty much all the press and the broadcast teams hang out. Now, obviously, you'll see Fox will have probably 1 or 2 spaces around Doha where they're going to have their pop-up sets being done. But for the most part, everything is done in and out of that center. Also, in Fox's case, they will have 2 broadcast centers here in the U.S., one in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where they have one of their broadcast outlets. By the way, that also is where ESPN has their SEC and ACC networks are in Charlotte. It's where all of the Fox NASCAR stuff is shot and done. And then, of course, they're going to have theirs at their studios in Los Angeles. So there'll be Los Angeles studio, Charlotte studio, and then Doha studios. And normally there's a lot of, fussing about in getting those things built together. But Qatar is so far advanced in their television and their fiber optics and everything that you're walking into a state-of-the-art building the moment you cross through the door there. So it's, I know my brother and his team, who will be helping Fox and Telemundo out, has told me he was there and said, you're not going to believe this was just like walking into a kid with a candy shop. They had everything you possibly want is all there. So we should have no trouble getting good pictures out of Qatar.
Nice. Yeah, I think that'll be exciting just to kind of see all the stuff that goes on. And it's someone, the TV side, I think, you don't always get the, I think you have so much experience with that, but you don't always get to see like, what goes on and behind the scenes there. But, it's just, there's so much stuff that goes on just to produce one game, let alone,
Well, let me take you through just one real quick scenario. Let's use hockey because that's the one that is the most difficult to coordinate. When, let's say, the Flyers, you're there in Philadelphia. Let's say the Flyers are in the playoffs, right? It's the first round. The first round would be the local broadcaster, which would be NBC Philly, would be the host, if you will, broadcast team. That their truck is there. Then let's say they're playing the Capitals, so NBC Washington's truck would be there. Then there would be CBC in Canada would be there. Then there would be the national broadcaster, which could either be TNT or ESPN. And then there would be the French. So what you have is 8 or 10, probably about 12 camera positions. All of those camera positions, because there's not room for all of them, are shared. So if I'm directing the home feed, I'm going to let every other producer know these are the cameras, where they're going to be and what they're going to do. So you're coordinating with all the trucks are hooked together so I can, when I speak, or whomever the director is speaking to all of the networks. And so you're letting everybody know what's going on so that these cameras can all be used together. Because there's no way you can shoot separately because the building does not, as I said before, take 14 different cameras in there. There's just no place for it, because otherwise, if you do that, then there's no place for fans to sit, and that's not going to happen in sports.
Yeah.
So you're shooting all that and coordinating it. Now take that and multiply 100 video feeds coming out of of Qatar. Okay. As I said before, you're only going to get one feed out, and that's the one that is the FIFA feed. But that means that let's say my good friend Tal Heinrich who was I-24 News in Israel, they have Channel 5 there is their their sports channel. So, but they don't send anybody to Doha. They'll do everything out of Tel Aviv. So they'll sit in Tel Aviv and in the studio, call the game, but they'll be showing the same video that we would be seeing here on Fox, or you might be seeing in Australia or anywhere. So it's everything's it's got to be choreographed actually down to the minute, and you have to take your cues off of whatever the world feed is. So coordination is incredibly important, as is understanding that, when they mean the kick is coming at 3:45 or 2:45 or 5 a.m. or whatever it is in your time zone, they're not, they mean to the second, that's when it's going to happen. And, you got to get your ducks in a row or else you're going to be in trouble. So it's fun, but once it starts, you really, like an air traffic controller, you can't stop it. So you're just going to have to coordinate it.
Yeah, it's
Now you've shot stuff from, just from a standpoint of streaming here on.
Yeah.
I
I got a broken tripod and an iPad.
Right, but even still, that keeping the ball in frame, keeping all of that, even
there's a lot that goes into it. Like people will all the time, they're like, we need this, can you do this? Can you do this? I'm like, look, man, I'm doing my best. I'll do everything that I can do right now. I'm doing for you. So,
you can only do what you can do. And that's, I think the fun part of doing the streaming of the games like you have is that people can see a game that they that they have it, they're personally invested in it, and their kid is involved, or the players are involved, and you get to interact with all of the families, and that's always a nice thing from that standpoint. I remember one time when I was first starting out, we had a company. There was a company called Southern Video Productions. It was owned by a gentleman by the name of Lou Preziosi. And we had just brought the truck had just came back from doing a football game. And we had just finished doing a Miami, University of Miami, Boston College game, not the one that Doug Flutie and Jared Phelan beat Bernie Kosar in. But it was just before that. I mean, not that one. So, but we rolled the truck back, right? And Preziosi the next day calls up and says, "Hey, by the way, my kids' team's playing in the regional. Could we go over and tape the game? Because there's nowhere to broadcast it, right?" So, the guy owns the truck, he owns the company. Why not? So we roll the 40-foot truck over there, set up the cameras on a Little League field, and shoot a Little League game, and then take the tape, give it to him so he can take it home. And basically the only people that saw it was at a pizza party in his house. But the guy owns the truck. If he wants us to shoot that, we'll shoot whatever we want.
That's right.
But it was a nice 6-camera and replay Little League game, which is great if you're in the Little League World Series. But like I said, membership has its privileges. You own a $7 million truck, you can do whatever you want to with it.
That's right.
Exactly. But anyway, I know that you've been doing some shows and having some fun at night. What are some of the things that you guys have been talking about?
We've started going through the futures a little bit, some of the different group odds, and I mean, there's so much stuff you can bet before the tournament even starts. I mean, it's betting has become more of a like live betting, and people, actually, I think the percentage of people live betting now is probably 70%. It's really high. But I think, sometimes you can get some more value on these plays, if you can get the right thing before the games, before the tournament starts. So we've been kind of looking at that. There's some pretty interesting golden boot odds. Basically every the odds for the golden boot, the odds for top scorer, the odds for those. I mean, they're all 10 to 9 to 1, 10 to 1 or greater, because there's 32 teams, there's so many players, 26 players on each roster. So obviously, one of the defenders from South Korea is probably not going to win the golden boot here, or the player of the tournament. But you just look at the Brazil squad alone, and just the forwards that they have. They have, Antony from Manchester United, Gabriel Jesus, and Gabriel Martinelli from Arsenal, Neymar from PSG, Rafinha, Richarlison from Tottenham, Vinicius Jr., Real Madrid, game-winning goal in the Champions League final. I mean, that's just the forwards on that team. And then we haven't even talked about the midfielder, Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle, Casemiro from Manchester United, Fred from Manchester United. I mean, basically half the squad from Brazil. I mean, really probably almost the entire starting 11, other than really Neymar and Vinicius Jr., are probably going to be players from the Premier League. So I'm doing a story that'll go up later on NJ.com from our friends at Sportingpedia about the squads. The England, which squad has the highest value, and England and Brazil are basically the two highest, just because of where their players play. And France, Portugal, Spain, Germany. It's no wonder those teams are favored to win the tournament, because they have the best players. So,
well, they're playing at the highest level.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, you're playing all the time in the with the Premier League and Real Madrid and the La Liga and stuff. I mean, it's no surprise. The study. Hey, there's Bill. Are you playing the friendlies? I'm on Mexico. Hit Poland, Germany, Czech Republic, lost Kosovo. We talked about that a little bit earlier. I'm not, just because I don't have a lot. The games are really early for me, and like I'm running around in the morning, like taking kids to school and stuff, and like I really want to see the lineups first and the odds. So I know the odds are better with some of these games, but there's some value in some of these games because once again, you're not getting Brazil at minus 1,000. Maybe it'll be minus 300 or something like that because they're not playing everybody, and they're still a good team. So that's a good day though. I didn't see the scores of those. My live score app always shuts. I didn't see the Mexico score. I saw Kosovo tied 2-2. Mexico 0-0 at halftime. They can't score. That's a problem for them. I'm actually just kind of using these, some of it, I just to kind of back up my thoughts about some of these teams. I know who's good, so I don't need to, you don't need to, Gibraltar, Liechtenstein, obviously I'm not going to take that. Poland, I picked them to go through. I know, it's a team like Tunisia who plays Iran and beats them 2-0. And I'm like, you know what? This Tunisia team is pretty good. A team like Morocco who plays, and, I have coming out of not to give away any of my secrets on my bracket pools here, but it's going to be my bracket's going to be live on NJ.com anyway. So, I have Morocco coming out of that group. I took a chance. I think they beat Croatia opening day. And I think they come out like stun people. But these two teams, the Morocco, Tunisia, that's the big thing about the World Cup is like, I'm a degenerate. I watch the African Cup of Nations. I watch the whatever, the CONMEBOL games. They hit the crossbar. Sweden is much bigger, but Mexico is more skilled. I watch the CONMEBOL. I watch these games. So like I know, Tunisia is going to be good. I know, some of the players. I know I watch all these games on the weekends. Well, like for someone who might not watch it, all of a sudden, for the people that come into the World Cup, just as kind of a casual and say, what's the deal with Tunisia? What's the deal with Morocco? They're not any good. They're not Brazil. Well, no, they are. So, that's the kind of thing, you got to be able to kind of see, and that, and then some of the, everyone remembers Cameroon being good or Senegal, but they're not. Cameroon's not good this year. So like, you got to know, like, hey, they're not good this year. They got they got Choupo-Moting, and that's about it. Maybe a Boubacar, but, so there's a lot that kind of goes into this stuff. Especially if, once again, like if you're just tuning in, that, the World Cup is strange to me because it's only every 4 years and people make such a big deal about it. But it's just like the Champions League is like so good. And it's like, the Champions League is much better than the World Cup because the teams are better. It's the elite play, the Champions League, the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals are the best players from these World Cup teams on one team. You're picking and choosing your squads. So the level of play, and you get two games. And, I know Champions League has gotten a lot more popular, but it's like, and this is mostly just America too. Like everybody watches the Champions League final all around the world. But like, here in America, you're just like, oh, I'm watching the Champions League final. Like we had it on down at the shore. I was at my buddy Lance Bachman's house. Mm-hmm. We had it on and I had everybody watching it. And they're like, wow, this is crazy. Like, this is like crazy level game. And I was like, yeah, no, it's a Champions League final, man. It's Liverpool and Real Madrid. Like, man, they're playing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. I'm like, that's what they do, man. That's what it's 8 o'clock at night over there. Like,
right.
It's the Super Bowl, man.
Well, actually, in point of fact, they make more money in that one game than the 2 teams in the Super Bowl.
Oh, it's not even close. If you go, the teams that go to the, hey, Jim, is he educating you on soccer? No, it's the other way around, man. Bill, you got to listen to what Jim knows. Jim, tell him about what you used to do.
I did soccer. I actually have an Emmy for producing and directing soccer. I've been doing soccer since 1979. My first soccer was the Tampa Bay Rowdies with Rodney Marsh and God, who was John Boyle, and that was a team that played against Pele and
he's got an Emmy award, Jim. He's got an Emmy.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm. Let me just put it this way: Sean knows way more about soccer. Well, I like soccer and I follow soccer. Sean lives soccer.
But your brother was involved. Your brother's involved in it as well.
My brother was with NEP. My brother George produced pretty much all of the soccer for Telemundo last year. So we have a family who enjoys soccer, and he'll text me on a Saturday morning and say, my first job, Bill, talking about Pele, was I was in college, and this is back in the day when they did. Not only did I see him play, okay, I got hit in the head with a ball that he kicked at the goal, and that was because in the early days of the NASL, when I was just in college, I wore the red shirt. Okay, the red shirt in football is the guy who stands on the field, so the officials know when you're in timeout. Well, in the early days of the NASL, they would take a timeout when the ball would go out of touch, right? So Tampa Bay played the Cosmos. It was the first time Canalia and Pele played at Tampa Stadium. And I was down at 1 goal. Sean, I don't know if you remember this guy, Kurt Kuykendall. He was the goaltender for the Cosmos. He came right out of Harvard. 2 weeks out of Harvard, he's in goal because the guy who's supposed to be in goal breaks his leg. So I'm standing down there, and so every time Canalia or anybody is kicking the ball at the goal and missing, it's going over my head, it's going to the left of me, to the right of me, and I got whacked right in the, right in the head a couple of times. But no, it was a time of soccer that had Gulf and Western not screwed things up with the Cosmos. I honestly think, Bill, and I've spoken to Sean about this, that we might have a Premier League level soccer in this country had we not screwed it up back in the day when the Cosmos were playing and the Rowdies were playing and so many, Cruyff was playing in Washington, and the guys who were playing out on the West Coast, the Sounders, were great. The Vancouver Whitecaps were fantastic. I mean, it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and it was the NASL at that time was great, and so it's something that if you were lucky enough to see it and see those guys play, and Pele was still good enough to make some amazing plays. I will say the best player I saw personally, in my own personal, was Franz Beckenbauer. I personally thought Franz Beckenbauer was the best player I saw during that time. He was still very good at what he could do. Canalia was like a bull in a china shop. He just ran over people. But Beckenbauer was fantastic. Some good coaches, Eddie Fermani, phenomenal guy, nice people, Gordon Diego. Rodney Marsh, still one of my favorite people. Ray Hudson, still one of my favorite people on the planet. They can do nothing but tell great stories. And the great thing about those guys at those times was they would go to a pub, well, more than that. It was actually a nice, kind of a bigger bar. And after the game was over, you could walk up to them and, talk to them. They'd sign autographs. They'd drink till they actually got thrown out of the place. So
that's how the hockey players are now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very approachable. So it was a lot of fun, and I just wish that it would have continued, but it didn't, unfortunately. And so then we had a big gap, and then in '94 we got a chance to host the World Cup again, and it was good. But I started teething on NASL. I did ironically I directed the Saturday games on ESPN and the Wednesday games on USA. So nice. I started doing both, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and I will never forget some of the meeting some of the players and some of the people. To this day, Rodney Marsh is still one of my favorite people. I don't know that he remembers much of what happened during that time. He was one of those guys who enjoyed drinking. But I did, by the way, I did do baseball, basketball, football, all that other stuff. But it was fun to do soccer. But Sean is, I believe, Sean. If you want to know something, Sean's your guy. He's the expert. I'm here to help and give historical perspective, which basically means I'm old. Okay, so historical perspective. But it's always good to chat with you, Bill. We're happy to have you around because you're one of the smarter folks that come on and chat. You engage us every time. I remember when you used to come on with Chris and I. You always had a great take. And I'm thinking that in the U.S. What do you think, Sean?
I was going to say, Bill, the game, Bill, for tonight, I like a basketball game tonight, and I like a football. I like these Maction games. I think they're pretty cool.
Well, last night in Akron, not
crazy game.
Toledo. It was snowing like a son of a gun.
I know. Toledo came all the way back, took the lead with 54 seconds to go, 35-34, and then the other team went right down the field and won the game. So
those teams are about 25 miles apart.
Yeah.
They're very close to each other.
Yeah. Those games are all pretty good. Eastern Michigan tonight is like a touchdown underdog against Kent State. I don't understand why. I like Eastern Michigan as an underdog. And then the basketball, look, if Houston is playing anybody, you got to take Houston. Houston scores over 80 points against everybody and holds every team to under 50 points. I mean, I would take a chance on the total. I would take a chance on the game, 31.5 on both teams' totals over Houston, under Texas Southern. This team is like absolutely ridiculous trying to watch them play defense. I mean, you can't score against them. It's absolutely crazy.
It is.
All right, Bill. Thanks for
coming by, buddy. It's always good to see you. We hope to see you.
Bill, I don't know about that Wales USA. It's like the worst game of the day to bet, to be honest, because I think it could be a draw. Like, it's just both teams really can't lose. I like Netherlands in that first day because Mane is out for Senegal. I just don't like that game. I mean, USA has more talent, I think, attacking wise, but I just don't know.
It also could be one of those games too, Sean, where you're playing not to lose.
Yeah, that's a problem to me. Bill, I like the under in that game to be, it's going to be 1-0, 1-1 either way, I think. So I do like the under in that game. I just think that's going to be a really cagey kind of game, whereas some of these other games aren't going to be like that day. I think the two other games is going to be goals.
Sean, when you're looking at some of these games, and you brought it up about teams that have such a high level of talent on the team. I mean, people that have played for everybody. Take care, Bill. Thank you for coming by. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill. You too.
When the level of play is such that at a high level, and they're playing a team where there's no way the level of talent is there. I tend to believe it's almost kind of like watching when in '94 when you saw the Dream Team, right?
Yeah.
There's some regards of star that you're on the pitch and you're starstruck. I mean, you're looking around going, I can't believe that Neymar is here. I can't believe that, I'm on the same field with, with Messi or whatever, right? There's got to be that sense of I'm playing at the highest level, but I'm not anywhere near this guy. And they're actually playing for his jersey. I mean, they're hoping at the end of it, that we can trade jerseys and I'll walk away with his jersey. There are those situations, but these are the 32 best teams in the country. I mean, in the world. So we'll see. But to your point about the Champions League versus this, do you think this is more like almost like an Olympic type event? You're playing for your country here, so there's and we here in the United States, that's really not us. I mean, we're more of a city team oriented thing, like you're talking about, where like you're a Philly fan. If you're a Philly fan, you're an Eagles fan. You're a Phillies fan. You're a Sixers fan. You want your vote. What we like to say in the business, you're rooting for the merch, right? The laundry is important. So you're a Man U fan. You want to see them win. You want to see them get into the Champions League and play in the Champions League situation. So it's all a higher level. In other places, the country thing is a very big deal.
Yeah.
So it just, I notice even in the Olympics, we're like, we're more of an individual thing. Like you want to see, want to see Phelps do well. You want to see these guys do well. But, in the team sports, it's like, so what if we win gymnastics? Great. It's funny because if you watch, Olympics tend to track and attract, I should also say, a casual fan. Far more women watch Olympic sports than watch regular sports. If you're a quote unquote male sports fan in the demographic that you and I, fall into, you tend to not want them to watch that. You will watch everything but that because that's just not of any interest to you. Olympics do not rise there. So when you get to the World Cup, it's in some ways, you're playing for your country. And that's just something that the U.S., I'm not saying that they're not nationalists that want to see their team win, but, I've had some people will tell me, you know what, I'm going to watch a basketball game. There's a college basketball game on tonight. I'll watch. I don't really care. I don't really care about what's going on in the World Cup. It's just not built. It's not in our DNA.
Yeah.
We're not brought up that way. But in other countries, anything, anytime the team plays for the country, man, they're on
Yeah.
it.
People ask me all the time, like, "Oh, USA, you're huge." I don't really care. I mean, if the USA won the World Cup, it'd be great. But whatever. It's not. I'm a Manchester.
You're not going to lose sleep if they don't.
Yeah, I'm a Manchester United fan. Like when Rooney was playing, I would watch Rooney. Or I'm watching the Manchester United players play. I don't really care about I don't care. Like it's, oh man, you're in Philadelphia, the Union, Manchester United fan. Like it's whatever. So it is what it's like. Yeah, it's just weird. It's like or people would always ask me too, like, oh yeah, you're a Manchester United fan. You must want like Liverpool to do well in the Champions League. What? Like, I hate Liverpool. I wish they lose every game. I wish Manchester City lose every game. I don't want Tottenham to win the Champions. Like, I don't.
Right.
Whatever. I mean, if they're playing Liverpool, I would. But it's just weird. I like the World Cup because it's soccer. Like I'm a soccer. I watch any soccer that's on TV. I'll watch. To a degree. There's certain things I won't. But
well, in some cases, you and I are contractually obligated to watch some of this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But Yeah, but I'm not like I'm excited because I get to watch wall-to-wall soccer, and it's a huge tournament, and like it's my job. Like I rate about it, and stuff like this. But like, if the USA loses and it gets knocked out in the group stage, doesn't go through, like I'm not gonna stop. Why? Like there's gonna be a bunch of people that stop watching the tournament. I'm like, but why? Like I don't understand. Like you only care about the U.S. I don't understand. Like this is the World Cup. It's like the highest level of national team games. Like why wouldn't you continue to watch? And they're like, nah, U.S. isn't in it. I'm like, it just like boggles my mind to me. You wouldn't care like to watch it. But like I guess that's
one of the things I found interesting is a whole different dynamic when it's the Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
I find there's a ton of watch parties. I find that so many more people are engaged in it. So many more people are invested in it. And they're all, this is, it does attract a male audience, and there's a whole different vibe to it. It's like, I want to find out what they're doing. Or somebody may, send me a text, or they're somewhere else, they can't catch a score. They may text me and say, hey, how are they doing? That sort of thing. That never happens to me during World Cup with regard to the United States men's team.
And it's the same thing. It's just like weird. Like I have I have a friend who's like that. I like watch all the women's games. And I'm like, and this is just me. Like I'm like, but like why? Like why do you stop what you're doing to watch this, but you won't watch like Real Madrid or Manchester United play? And they're just like, oh no, it's like the USA. I'm like, but what about the men? Oh no, it's different. It's different. I'm like, but why? Like, but why? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like they're watching it for some reason. Like, just like.
I mean, in all honesty, the women's team is much better than the men's team with regard to, result, right? I mean,
the problem is the women's soccer around the world is like I mean, the level of play when you
no leagues.
Yeah, the leagues, like the Champions League are good. Like when you see the Champions League play, like the English League is not bad. Like the French and all this stuff. But like, I mean, who's going to be in the semifinals of the women's tournament. I mean, the 4 teams, and then it just gets to a point where if someone gets sent off, or if there's a bad call or penalty, whatever it is, sometimes the breaks happen, sometimes they don't. Like for this men's tournament, I mean, I don't know. Like it could be any of 15 teams in the semifinals. I wouldn't be stunned.
For the last decade, I have been asked every year by ESPN.com to fill out a women's basketball, NCAA college basketball bracket.
Mm-hmm.
That is the simplest thing you will ever.
Oh my God. Just pick the chalk.
It is the definition of chalk.
Yeah, there's never an upset. There might be one upset every once in a while. It's so easy, but like, there's not enough talent. It's starting to spread out.
Right.
Because I streamed, Trenton Catholic girls, their top 5 team in the country, and they have talent, but it's not like, it's not the same. Like, it's just not like, I mean, I could go into every game that I was covering with that and know who's going to win the game. And high school boys is like that too most of the time. Like I know who's going to win the game. I mean, it's not like this team is 20 points better than this. Like the only way this is even close is if somebody has the flu or if somebody gets in foul trouble and then they play like the worst game ever and this team plays the best game ever and they still might only win by, they might win by 5 or something like that.
I remember Brenda Fries who's a buddy of mine, the coach at Maryland. And she was playing. They played a tournament in DC, and she had just came off the podium after their pregame chat, and I was talking to her like 5 or 10 minutes, and she goes, "Well, I'm concerned about this team, that they're going to play." And I'm like, Brenda, please, we've known each other for a long time. You are not concerned about this team. You're concerned. Your team isn't concerned about this team. But, come on. I mean, when you play the North Carolinas, when you play the Dukes, when you play Gino and, UConn and that, then you're concerned. but you don't try to sell me that you're concerned on whether or not you can beat Towson's.
Yeah.
That's not, the only way you don't is if two of your girls accidentally trip over each other and hurt themselves before the game is over, but
Yeah, exactly.
But it is, to me, for some reason, and I don't know about you, but to me, the World Cup women's side, it just seems to generate a lot more juice.
Yeah.
Now, again, not ratings wise. Again, you're going to get good ratings for the men. They will rate out, and Fox will be happy with the rating. But whenever it comes to the women, there hasn't been one person that has told me about a watch party somewhere or any of that. Which is why we're going to do our own watch party.
A few of them here for the U.S. games, but once again, that's cool, but I want to watch all the games. We got a watch party. Let's just have a party for the Argentina Mexico game or something. I don't know.
We'll have to figure that out if we want to do that next week, because we'll have some time and some games we can pick. And as you can see on my shoulder, there's a television set. But the thing is too that I think that what you and I are part of is a group of people who like and love and enjoy soccer and watch soccer. It doesn't matter who's playing. It doesn't matter what time of the day or night that it's playing. It just matters that I have access to it. If I have access to it, I will watch it. If it's what Rich Eisen likes to call the remote drop. Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm surfing for something and I hit that soccer, I'll drop the remote and I'll watch. And it doesn't matter who's playing. Now I may 10 minutes grab the remote back if it's a crappy game, but for the most part, I'll even watch them. I did when was it? Was it CONCACAF was playing at the same time that the league of Brazil and the rest of them, they were having their tournament. There were concurrent tournaments at one point.
Copa Libertadores and yeah.
So you actually had games where you could see, there were early games and there were late games, which made it perfect from that standpoint. But that happened early on. But any final thoughts here as we get out on a nice Wednesday? It looks like the sun has actually come out here on the East Coast.
Yeah, I just we keep talking about the games and it's just getting closer and stuff. But once again, if you're a fan, obviously if you're watching these shows with me and Jim and obviously some of that, I talk soccer and it's gonna be soccer centric and stuff like that. But there's it's gonna be a pretty interesting tournament. Just try to read as much as you can about the different teams and try to see if you can watch a different game than maybe, or, see if you can watch a game with, Cameroon in it or Saudi Arabia, Argentina, or a team maybe you haven't really watched and just kind of see. There's, if you're a fan of the game, sometimes you'll see a team play that you haven't seen. You're like, wait a second, what formation are they doing? Oh, and then you kind of read about it and it just gives you an idea. Sometimes I'll see what some of the teams are doing. I say, hey, and this is a decent idea for me as a coach. So there's a lot of stuff that goes. I look at it as a writer, as a player, as a coach. I coached the game for 10 years. I covered the game for 10 years. I played. I do all this stuff. So I come at it from different angles.
What did you play?
I was a goalkeeper.
Okay.
Like you.
Even I. Yeah. Well, You're probably better at it than me. But
my team stinks. They asked, what? They try to get me to come out all the time and play, but I got gouged. I got break. Imagine if I broke my hand or something like that, or broke my wrist diving for a ball. They have the over 40 league, and it's these guys out there playing, and it's cool. But imagine if you pull your hamstring and you can't walk for a month. I just with my issue with my foot that I've been dealing with, I kind of think about it now, and I'm like, you know what, I can't if I can't limp around. It's been like the worst limping around for like 2 weeks here
Right.
with both my feet because the other foot, I had to drop the thing on it. And you're just like, I can't be bothered. I really like it. I wish I could. I want to coach. I'm going to start coaching in the spring again. A lot of the kids I coached in high school, which will be good enough for me, and I'd be able to knock it around. But like, if I'm out there and I break my wrist or something like that, and I can't type or I can't,
right?
It's just not, to me, it's not worth it because I do so much other stuff. But I do like, we might put a net in the backyard next to the gym. We'll see.
There in St. Petersburg, there's what they call the Quarter Century Club. And the Quarter Century Club is a softball league where you have to be 75 before you can play. Now, they have actually had games where the old joke, dying, leaving it all in the field. They've actually had games where people have literally died in the field playing in the games. But I'm not that sporty. I will allow. I'm not gonna. If I'm 70, when I get to be 75, God willing, I'm not going to be playing softball in St. Petersburg. I'll watch them. I will have respect for them, but I will not play. There's a time and a place for everything, and I left my little league. My goals of becoming a great baseball star ended when I was 14 years old. In little league, I'm out of there. No athletics. My athletics is directing and producing television or being involved in this wonderful network that we're building here. That's my hook on to sports these days, and I'm happy to be it and to talk to entertaining people like yourself, Mr. Miller. So it's always fun. Tomorrow we will be back, and we will show you some of the security stuff that's going to happen in Qatar, and how they prepared for it and how they're going to get ready. Because when you do host the world for something like this, you've got a worldwide platform, and unfortunately that does attract potentially some very interesting people. So we will be back with that one, and also we might sneak in a little college basketball, a little up what's coming up down the road there. I did see Long Beach State. It was San Diego State. I'm sorry. San Diego State took Stanford to the shed last night at Maple Center out in the Bay Area. They basically embarrassed Stanford at home. So that was something. I didn't see USC played a team that a lot of people underestimate, and that's Vermont. Vermont has always been a solid tournament quality team, and they went out to USC last night and played. I'm sorry to say I fell asleep and I have no idea who won. I missed that, but Vermont's always fun to watch. They play very well, and they seldom lose once their conference tournament stuff starts. They're very good in their conference. Chris and I, when we did the basketball last year, we made sure everybody knew that Vermont was playing, because very few people beat Vermont, and they're very good at covering the spread. So there you go. They were also the IUPUI group. So anyway, Sean, any last thoughts from you as we get going here?
No, I'm just excited to keep kind of talking about all this stuff. So
we shall return.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, buddy. Until tomorrow. Take care.
All right.